Welcome to More Than Renovating, a renovate and real estate podcast. Our founder, Belinda Smith, talks to industry experts to provide you with the knowledge and information you need to make renovating for love and profit your reality. Belinda will also chat to some of her Renovation Mastery members who are just everyday people doing extraordinary things, following their passions in the renovation and property space. So, let's jump straight into the episode. Enjoy.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Belinda Smith from Renovate and Real Estate, and this is our podcast session. Our topic's more than renovating, because I believe that property investment and renovation is so much more than just the physical work and just the property and just the profit. I love to talk about the human side of renovating, and I am fully aware of the fulfillment that people get from renovating. And on that note, I'll introduce you to our special guest today, Deb Woods. Deb actually is a qualified or midway qualified, we can talk about that in a minute, interior designer, but she's got a lot of experience around the renovation space, and her husband works as a handyman. They've had quite a few life changes over the years to actually get to the point where they are renovating homes for themselves and helping other people with their own homes. So let's dig in. Morning, Deb.
Morning.
Okay, so let's talk about your background and your location. So you're in Queensland at the moment?
Yes, we're in Ipswich. We've been sort of all over the place in the southeast corner, and we do move around a lot, but we're currently in Ipswich.
And okay, like everybody else, everybody likes to know who has kids, who doesn't have kids, whose lives are busier than theirs. Some people think that renovating might be hard for them, but other people have it easy. So let's do a bit of a drill down. You have 6 kids from memory?
Yes, we do. We have 6 kids ranging from 29 down to 15. So it's a house full. We have 5 grandkids as well. So always a lot going on. And careers and all sorts of things have come and gone and transitioned and all of those sorts of things. But renovating has always been our passion, and design for me and making things appear has always been something that is really passionate for me. And I know my husband really enjoys the same thing. So that's where we come together and can really change the space.
It's so nice when 2 people are on the same page. I know there are a lot of people in our group, particularly some women will start on the path and then their spouses will join them. But when you've got somebody with the same interests as you, same as my husband, Brett, and I, it's so easy because we find joy in actually working on projects together. So let's talk about like your setup at the moment. You have interior design qualifications. Your husband has a handyman business. You can name that business if you like, Jade Designs and Jade.
So yeah, I've got Jade Designs and my husband has Jade Property Services. So together we sort of bounce off each other. He does the grunt work and the sweat work. So he's the sweat equity. He does the worst part of it. And like together I can, see the vision of how something would take place. I'm able to translate that into what it needs to look like, and then he can take my vision and know that it can rise out of the ground and what it's going to take to make that happen. But along the way there are some elements of that can happen and that can't happen, and what if we did this. So he's got some vision himself, which always really helps. There are some practicalities around sometimes what I see, and sometimes him walking through the space where he can think, well, hang on a minute, what if we actually flipped that? And then he can come back to me and we can coordinate something that actually is really functional. So I like that we can both contribute to the end product and come up with great ideas together. So, yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, so you share the knowledge on what deals to actually do, and also share the knowledge on, or at least contribute to each other and pool ideas on what to do to each property, knowing that you've got the inspiration like a lot of us do, but he knows exactly what it's going to take to put that together, like to physically do that and what's possible and what's not.
Yeah, we're really lucky too, though.
Yeah.
My son's a builder.
Yep.
So, if anything gets to a level where we think, oh, that looks odd, that looks structural, that looks damaged, that looks
Yep.
beyond our scope,
Yep.
we're able to really easily deflect to my son and say, hey, come in here, give us a hand, how do we do this? So, we're really lucky that we've got a family network out there. And we've got young kids as well who are also thinking of going off and doing trades, and that's great. Whatever they decide to do is sort of fine by us, but if we happen to get an electrician and a tiler, that's like bonus.
That was my wish. I got a guy who runs ads.
That's look, they can follow their dream, that's all fine too, but we've sort of, one of our sons is currently working with Jamie and absolutely enjoying transforming bathrooms and houses as well at the minute, and he's sort of at a crossroads wondering what he's going to do. He's just recently left school, so it's good that he gets a taste for what it feels like to work with your hands and to manually transform something and see happy people when they see something rise out of the ground. It's great.
Oh, it's so rewarding and fulfilling. All right, so the kids, you're setting a cracking example for your kids, and the kids are starting to see what's possible because of what you've done, and now they're starting to engage in the possibilities perhaps for themselves in some way, shape or form. Takes away, I think, all of the worry from these kids' worlds around how are they possibly going to become property owners when they can see the example that you're setting for your kids and I've set for mine, and so many of my students inside Renovation Mastery set for their kids. Just shows them the way, creates a path and opens up a path of possibilities. Let's talk about your background. So your husband used to be a paramedic.
Yes, many years.
You used to be
a nurse. I still am a nurse.
Yeah.
I still run a small hospital.
Yeah.
So it sort of sometimes feel like I'm dabbling in both worlds and I'm juggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, just being on the cusp of doing both things, but having a passion to really, step off the ledge and immerse yourself into the reno sort of stream. I've just had the most glorious 9 months off. Which has been amazing because I've been a full-time renower and creator, and we've done some other bits and pieces. We've upcycled furniture, we've painted windows, and we've done, I've just been able to achieve so much in that time. So that's been invaluable to me, and I've also been able to work shoulder to shoulder with Jamie and our son in the business as well to really leverage what's going on in Jade Property Services. So that's been amazing. But yeah, you've got to do what you got to do. You've got to pay your bills and all of that sort of thing. But I'm really looking forward to stepping off that ledge and going full time and making this my reality. And Renovating Real Estate is linking arms with me, so to speak, which will be fun. I'm empowered to know that that's my reality and it's just around the corner, and I'm super excited about that.
I can smell it for you, Deb.
So close.
So close.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about working towards. Let's talk about your journey and just a reminder, guys, the reason we were actually talking before the podcast, the reason Deb is heading back to work for a while is, number one, she's passionate about what she's spent her whole life doing. Like I don't think you go into healthcare or even me, the police, unless you care about making a difference to people. So that's number one. But number two, makes it so damn easy to get money. So easy to get money when you have a job. So if anybody out there is thinking about quitting their job, it can be done, but you just need to be very strategic about when is the right time to do that, to completely jump into renovating, and you need to plan for that. So let's talk about the renovations that you have done. Like, where did it all begin for you?
Wow. So my dad was a cabinet maker.
Yep.
And so I always saw that manual creation and that everything was possible. And I can remember being in his workshop creating blocks of wood and PVC glue and sawdust and flowers and, always creating something. So, and he, back in the day, it was creating furniture. So that whole creating something with your hands and wood came from right back from my childhood. But, as a young person, starting off, we started renovating sheds and doing barn style houses, which is now so trendy.
So trendy.
Oh my God. We were front
You started
runners
it
20 years ago. So yeah, we did barn homes, and I would take on unfinished projects way back then, as a leg in the door to the property market, because, you know, we were just very young, starting out, trying to sort of get our careers going. We weren't well paid back then either. Sounds really ridiculous when you say it out loud now, you know, and I've been in nursing 30 years, and so have worked my way up to where I am today in my career. But back then, yeah, it was tough. Interest rates were 17% on a mortgage.
Yep, 17.7 for us.
Yep. And so everything went into your mortgage.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we would take on homes that people had started to renovate, and it all got far too much, and we would tackle the hard stuff, and we would, tackle unfinished projects basically, and grab a barn that they thought was a great idea to do and was half finished. It had the plumbing and the concrete floor and nothing else. The plans were submitted to council, and they've gone, well, this was our dream, but we're too old and we're too sick and we just can't do it anymore, and we need someone to take over. So that's where it started for me, and made me realize that anything is possible, and but you don't always have to stick to the plan either. You can be a little bit flexible. You don't always have to spend $1 million. You can do it on a budget. You can find a kitchen on Marketplace, and you can make it work for you, and you can pick and choose where you spend your money, and you can be patient to get the ceiling that you want. You can, you know what I mean? You don't have to get it all now. You can take your time and build a wall a week and just get it done. And so, yeah, I've been at it a long time, and have made a lot of mistakes and been at it alone for a long time too, like as in no network, no renovating real estate, you know, all of those sorts of things that we have now that we take for granted, because we didn't even have, you know, all of the wonderful things that we have now, like, you know, Facebook and all those, you know, wonderful groups. So yeah, it's been a long journey.
Your journey sounds a lot similar to mine and Brett's. You know, I was in the police, you're a nurse, same thing, high interest rates, low pay, a lot of kids, a lot of hours at work, and a lot of renovating on the side. In the truth, my property journey, my renovations and my property out-earned what I earned all day long, year after year, from when I was 19. And it's just been such a blessing to be involved in property investing for all of those years. And you really have a gift for this when you show how sensible you are about what you really want and what you can have and what your must-haves are, and being selective about where to spend the money. Did that come before you ended up in my world with my course? Did it come through trial and error, do you think?
I think it came from necessity.
Yeah.
I think we were in a time where, you know, there was low pay and high interest rates, and if you wanted to get something done, you had to be really smart about it. Yeah. And I think I was saying to you earlier, I'm the kind of person who has grown a kind of resilience that says, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to say, how can I? So this person might have said no, and the bank balance might have said definitely no, but I'm going to find out, how can I get this done, and how can I do it to the best of my ability? So I'm going to find a way. And I think that's just come from tenacity and and sheer will. I'm just not going to lay down and die. I'm just going to, you know, find a way.
Yeah, brilliant. Me too. I remember going to the police credit union for a loan, and our friends were buying investment properties, and Brett and I went there and they said, oh no, you guys don't earn enough. There's no way you can buy an investment property. And we went back to the car, and Brett said, oh, well, that's it then, honey. And I growled. I went, grrr. I thought, how dare they? How dare they say we don't earn? There has to be a way. So off we went. And we found a way, and we grabbed some money in. And actually, it wasn't long after that, we bought 7 properties in 18 months. So if I had have taken that no for an answer, that would have been it. Like a lot of people just would have said, that's it. But I'm tenacious like you are, Deb. So there you go. There you go. All the tenacious ladies out there, growl. If someone says you can't do something, just growl.
And teach that to your children. You know, teach your children that no doesn't mean no. It means, okay, not there. So go over there, find another way, and just pick another strategy, because, you know, there are lots of ways to skin a cat.
So back in the day, we used to do a lot of revamping furniture, just like you did, because, like you said, we just couldn't afford to go out there and buy new. And there's a real thrill of the chase. So tell me about some of the bargains that you've been able to grab for your renovation projects and how you've managed to come across some, you know, lower price product.
I think back then it's it's probably the same if I think about it. It was about shopping in the right place. It was about going to the richest suburbs, you know, where the bored housewives were tossing out their kitchens every 5 years. And, you know, I'll take that. And, you know, getting the money to grab the kitchen and retrofit it into what you needed. And when, you know, when I knew sort of what I needed, I just shopped around. I was lucky to be able to buy, you know, a job lot of Italian tiles in Sydney, because a lady bought this massive house lot of tiles, and when she had them delivered, didn't like them. So I, you know, called in a favour and found a truck and got them down there and got them all delivered to home for favours, cartons of beer, and got these Italian tiles laid in my barn house. And, you know, fabulous kitchens from bored housewives at the Gap and Indooroopilly, and it made it happen. And you know, I loved that barn. And made it fantastic. So I think there are, you know, there are ways that, and I mean, I wasn't overly savvy back then either. I was 21 and, you know, a brand new graduated nurse and trying to make myself a home. But you do find a way, and you do take your time. And, you know, for 6 weeks I swept the concrete, dreaming about my tiles and trying to think of ways to, you know, get them up from Sydney, and you do find a way.
You just made it happen. And how did it make you feel? Like, how does it make you feel when you finish a project like that?
Oh, like you've won $1 million. Like you've won the lotto. And you have, because you've created something out of next to nothing. So it is, and I've always said, renovation isn't how you make something look, it's how you make something feel. It's how you feel when you walk into a house. And that's what I do when I stage something as well. You know, we had a recent renovation on a house that was a really ugly duckling. And I'd even looked at this house a dozen times myself and driven past it and went, no, crossed it off the radar. And this was a house that we were going to buy to live in. And towards the end, I had this burly plumber doing the works at the, you know, the end stage fit off. And he sort of, you know, it was coming along. It was looking quite nice. And he came back at the end after I'd staged the house, and he could not believe how he felt when he walked in this house. And here's this rough as guts plumber with tats everywhere and hair out the wazoo. And he literally, he said, it brought a tear to my eye. I couldn't believe how I felt walking in that house. It was an awful house. I didn't think you were ever going to make anything of that place. And, you know, we really put our hearts and soul into that place, and we made it a home and set a street record for it. And it was about, how do we feel? How do we want our people to feel and imagine their family growing up in this place? And so we set that feeling for them, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Oh, it's so much about that. And so that's where margins of profit really come in. Like, that's where you can really stretch your buyer, when you can make them feel, and then they feel like they must have it and they'll pay more for it, particularly if there's two buyers, or three, even better, three competing for that same property, and they'll compete with each other. So many people just think what's going to look good, but it is about the feel. When you've got people that sense, you know, people, they're all our senses, touch, hearing, smell, all that kind of stuff. You get people to feel like that, and you've got a buyer, and it feels good. It feels good to do it. It's all about the feels.
It is. It so is. Yeah. Yeah. And you know that you're passing on a home to a family who are going to love living there. And I think, you know, there's a lot of rapid turnover and, you know, do a quick facey and, you know, flip it back over. But I think if you bring that feeling into what you do, then I think you've got it every time in spades, haven't you? Because, you know, you're creating a home for someone else. That's lovely, especially if you're doing it in your hometown. Like that's really great.
Yeah, I agree. What about your little reputation in your hometown?
Well, we're little fish in a big, rapidly growing
We're all
space.
fish, Deb.
This is such a massive growth corridor.
Yeah.
We've got, you know, Ripley Springfield on our doorstep with,
Yeah.
you know, the population growth here is phenomenal. So, you know, one little drive past Macca's down here is 5 minutes down the road and you see 100 new houses between, you know, going to the local shops. It's really phenomenal. But I think we're in a little patch here where there are some lovely aged homes that could do with a bit of loving. So it's
lovely.
Really,
I like you say that. Lovely aged homes.
Yeah, well, they're just that nice,
old-fashioned.
No, they're not. Yeah. They're not sort of at that age where they're sort of heritage or anything like that. They're just at that age where they haven't been touched for sort of 15, 20 years.
They're tired.
They're just a bit tired. And so they've got some real potential to not need a lot. But they just, you know, the gardens are dated, you know, they've got the old sort of style about them, crappy bricks and single garages, and they just really need some care and attention and some vision. And
I've actually done a couple of sessions on those types of homes. I love that type of cosmetic renovation because it's not too arduous. It's easy to see the vision if the layout's okay, and it's easy to change tired, and it's definitely easy to change colour from the old Brunswick green and primrose yellow, you know, to blacks, charcoals, whites, and all of the things that are in right now. And, you know, and I'll let everybody know on this call, Deb just did a beautiful renovation, and you know, just little things like changing white posts to black and changing an old pool fence and painting it black. So it kind of upgrades it but disappears, and you can see right through black, and all of just making all of the right changes to that property added such a lot of value. But yeah, you can conserve some of your personal energy when you're not tackling projects that are long-winded. Yeah, very doable.
Yeah, for
and there's
sure.
still good profit in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about that knowing where to spend money.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting now that we're doing the property services side of things too, and we're working with clients who are wanting to do a spruce up for a rental. And we have to keep going back to, this is a rental. Don't forget it's a rental.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to spend $1 million on a rental. You want to make it really comfortable. And how do we make it really comfortable for your people without crying if they crack a tile?
Yes.
You know, because it's a rental and those things are going to happen. So it's about being really sensible with where you spend your money too, because it is an investment and those things are going to matter. So you want to put good finishes in, so you're not rushing there every 5 minutes to change a tap. But you don't necessarily want to, be really upset because you've spent $1 million on it and you ended up with a bad tenant. Yeah.
So you joined us at Renovate and Real Estate in April last year. It seems like
last year.
I said last year. And what's been the benefit of being part of a community like Renovation Mastery in particular?
So much. I think like-minded people for starters, but such a broad scale. You know, you've got people who are powerhouses at one end of the scale who you just can't even fathom where they started and how they've, you know, launched to doing 23 renos a year.
Yeah.
And then you've got, you know,
newbies
people who are just starting out, and you know, there's no silly question. No. There's such a plethora of information. If you miss your Zoom call, it's all recorded, so you jump back in. You know, that Tuesday catch-up's great. There's a wealth of information there, and they're just digestible amounts too. So the training's laid out really, really well. I love the training. The Tuesday catch-ups have been absolutely invaluable to me. Like the experts that you have on, I've learned so much about granny flats and buyer's agents, and I've even found myself a buyer's agent, and we are about to put on a granny flat. And you know, I've soaked up so much, and I think too, it's about having someone, it's having your tribe cheer you on. It's like, hey, look at my window, I finally painted a window, and it's having, you know, 8 people go, yay, go you. And it's like, it's creating the momentum for you to keep going, because it can get hot and sweaty and dirty and discouraging and lonely. It's like, no, you don't go out for drinks. You're sanding windows. You don't sort of catch up with friends as much anymore, because, you know, you've still got a job, but you're on the tools. You've got your vision, and it can be long and hard and arduous. So it's, you know, you've got your team, you've got your cheer squad, you've got people at every level of investment, every level of renovation, every level of dabbling. But you've also got someone, I think, who can link arms with you. You've got the tools financially, and just to sort of, I think I love the checklist too. I'm a very checklisty person. So I love being able to walk into a house and go, right, where do we start? You know, and you'll have some people that are checklisty and some people that aren't checklisty. So it sort of just appeals to so many people. So the whole lifetime access and all of those things really appeal to me as well. So just at your own pace, being able to dabble in, and okay, now I'm really busy and the family's fallen apart, and you know, I've got someone in hospital and a dog in hospital and whatever else, so I can't even look at it for 2 weeks, and now I'll pick it back up and, you know, sort of catch up again. It has been fantastic. So I think it's the whole package for me. I think I would have been lost and gone back to work sort of 2 months in if it hadn't have been for this crew going, you can do it.
Go, 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 go.
Go watch another package, jump in on another Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Deb, that looks great. You know, it's been really good to link arms with a team of people who are doing the same as you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, that's the whole reason we put it together, right? Is to support people just like you, right down to the newbies who've never renovated before. And I know that when Brett and I started to do property groups, we were only ever going to know what we knew in our head and from reading a few books, etc. There's some free stuff out there, but some of it's not very detailed, because you'll find people hold the detail and all of the good stuff for paid clients. So the free stuff out there is pretty bland and repetitive. When you're inside a property group, we learned so much. We learned how to buy properties with no money down. So off we went. Then what barriers did we have if we knew how to buy properties back in the day with no money down? So, you know, when lending was on, it was on. And so off we went. And I just think of how that changed our life. That just changed our life from that moment. Other little strategies like how not to pay house deposits, like how not to have to come up with your 10% cash, all those little things we learned just by being inside programs, and we've just utilized our knowledge over and over and over. It's really nice having you inside that group, Deb, and I love how you share things like, you know, when you talked about painting your windows that day and everybody's saying, oh, you know, what did you use, and does it last, and how did you find it, and how long did it take, and all that kind of stuff means that if somebody else is faced with the same situation on their renovation project, they can just look at what you did and go yes or no, you know, yes, it's going to work for me, or no, I'm not up for that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think even sharing little things like, you know, if you wake up in the morning and you're not up for painting a window, you know, I've refurbed a couple of tables this week, and you know, I've tiled the top, and instead of using grout, I've actually used silicone, and now it's an outside pool table. So you always want something to put your margarita on, right, when you're lounging around the pool.
Yes, we do.
It's just keep the momentum going and keep yourself motivated, and just do little things that can keep yourself going, and you'll have the cheer squad cheering you on. And it's all of those things, and it's having that network of people that's been really really invaluable. And I think even when I got COVID, which was only a little while ago, go figure, a nurse that never got COVID until sort of 3 years into a pandemic, I sort of went, yay, closed the bedroom doors, put the aircon on, and jumped on and just listened to my stuff because I couldn't go anywhere. And it was the perfect excuse to catch up and to listen to a few more of the lessons and to go back and catch up on some Zooms that we've missed. And like, it was great. I celebrated that. You know, that whole, I'm in exile for 7 days, bring me some fruit, guys. You know, like, I'm just sitting up here loving life.
Get the family looking after you for a change and put your feet up for a little while. What's the plan? What's the plan moving forward, Deb? What do you have in your mind? It's like another flip, another reno, big stuff, small stuff, subdivisions. What's
so. For us this year, we've got me going back to work just temporarily to, you know, got to help the bank, very, very, very small temporarily, because we've got a big extension planned. So the plans are all done. They're with the engineer right now. So we're really, really close to getting council approval. And that looks like a really big kitchen raked ceiling extension, walk-in pantry on one end, and a pool house on the other, which is actually a granny flat. But yeah, we've joined it on to the house. So essentially what we've actually got here is a self-contained unit upstairs, which is the parents' retreat, which is where I am now. Downstairs is its own house as well, and it'll have a self-contained pool house. So this place, if we ever move, we'll have 3 sources of income. So we're setting ourselves up to future-proof this place as an investment forever. This is a buy and hold forever.
Man, you just made me so excited. Thinking like a serious investor, future-proofing,
absolutely,
preparing for retirement, all of that.
Absolutely. So this one's a buy and hold. We'll have an Airbnb out the back, upstairs and downstairs, 2 separate, 2 completely separate houses here that can be rented out on separate leases. So that's what's in the cards for this one. Beautifully, my son's going to build it for me. So that's fantastic. He can take his whole crew off and they can build that for me. So that's great. Really excited about that. But at the same time, and this is the only reason that we are actually going for such a big, we're trying to please the bank so much, is that we're actually dipping into the whole of the equity. So there'll be money sitting in a cash offset account ready to go back into the next flip. So as soon as this is done, we go back into another house as well by the end of the year. And whether or not that's a buy and hold or whether that's just one of those cute little cosmetic upgrades, because all along our street are these lovely houses all popping up for sale. And it's curious, the market's curious at the moment, and I'm actually pretty excited because lots of people are going, oh, don't buy, the market's going to drop, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm buying. Don't you worry about that, because there's lots of room in the market at the moment. I'm okay with buying.
I'm seeing opportunity galore here in Sydney.
I am too.
I just spent the weekend at Open for Inspections, and it's very, very exciting because a lot of people are sitting on their hands.
Yes, I am too. So I'm very excited about just even what's in our street. So I'm looking around and I think we'll be ready to pounce sort of later on in the year, and we'll be able to do those couple of things. So they're my big plans for 2023. I won't be in the workforce for too long. I think I'll be back out by June. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, it's going to be a really exciting year for me. Well, yeah, for the family really, because we'll have enough room to grow with, you know, with all the grandkids that are coming along and the 6 kids that we've got.
So when property really was the thing for you, how did that make you feel about little things like living paycheck to paycheck, inflation right now and all that kind of stuff?
I guess I was a little frustrated because I watch realestate.com and Domain religiously. That's my Bible and that's my go-to, and I'm talking daily. I'm on there every day. So I'm analysing the market a lot. And I think with that comes a little bit of practice, and I'm still learning how to read the market and who to listen to.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I'm getting a little bit better at. I'm only new in that kind of reading of the market and being able to do, you know, my due diligence in terms of the market, and Renovating Real Estate has really helped me with that, but I need to develop my skills further in that area. So I think for me, it lends a sense of frustration, which sounds really strange to say, but it's like, I want to, but I don't trust myself, but I should trust myself. And it's just, I get excited and but I want to hold back at the same time.
So do you think that's a momentary thing? But, you know, is that fed by what's going on at the moment with the media?
That and being raised by a very cautious father.
Oh, we could go deep, Deb.
We absolutely could. And it's like, you know, I've done the whole self-managed super thing and completely gone into real estate in my self-managed super. And Dad was the first person to go, oh, be careful. Oh, watch that.
I had a father-in-law exactly that. I have a father-in-law. He's a beautiful man, but he was very, very worried about our property journey, and we've done obviously extraordinarily well, but he was very worried and didn't mind voicing that in the beginning. So all the voices in our head play a role, don't they?
They do. And being raised with that really risk adverse sort of don't do anything that deviates from the norm comes back to haunt you sometimes and makes you second guess your judgment. So I think for me, that's my lack of knowledge, and I need to build up some more courage in that space, and I need to learn more.
We should talk afterwards. Okay, so look, honestly, most of this renovating thing, I believe, is being able to make a series of really good decisions, one after the other. And if you can make really good, well-educated decisions one after the other and keep momentum, all will be fine in the world. Those decisions have to be knowledge-based. They must be knowledge-based. And now is the time to be very, very precise. That's it. I don't think that there's any worry right now in the market. I see opportunity everywhere, like we discussed before in your local area, and me and mine, but it's time to be precise.
I just need to back myself, I think.
Yeah. I think the time, you know, when things were just flying, like you could do let's be honest, you could do a really bad renovation at the end of 2020 or in 2021 and still make extraordinary money. But now I think that you need to do a very good renovation, and I think that you need to buy the right property. That's all I think.
Yeah, we walked into a fair few of those homes in our local area and went, oh my God.
My goodness.
And they still got snapped up for quite a high profit.
So I think people who don't know what they're doing are going to be very exposed in the next year or so, definitely. But, you know, everybody else, people in my gang still going great guns. So I'm excited, and I need to just drop that whole trepidation and that cautiousness. And I think plow forward and just get it done, because I know what I need to do. I just got to back myself. Yes, I am excited about the future in real estate. Absolutely. Yeah, I think real estate's the bomb, but I don't mind a bit of cautiousness, you know, like I think that the people that I've watched in the last, I'd say 40 years, been in property now for 40 years, the people that I've watched go broke are the ones who just ignore everything, throw caution to the wind and think that they are infallible, and that can end up in pain. And so that's not what I want for any of my students. But the ones who do well are just ones or people who just make every step a winner. And if you take a breath for a couple of months, take a breath for a couple of months. But every step should be a winner.
There is a lot of conflicting information out there at the moment. And I think digesting what is actually happening with the market and being able to make your own assessment and listening to the team that you're in, and getting that consistent advice from the people who have never, you know, done you wrong. And do you know what I mean?
Or stuffed up.
There's a lot of people out there that will sell you the $1 million 0 to 100 houses in 18 months kind of stuff. You need to
yawn.
You need to stick with your team
Yeah.
and consistently approach what you know.
Yeah.
And I think you can't go wrong there.
I've
Yeah.
said 1,000 times too, the numbers don't lie. In the end, it comes down to the data as to whether you're going to move forward. When I say you, me, anybody should move forward on a deal or not, always comes down to the numbers and the research.
Yeah.
End of story.
So I still have lots of work to do. I'm always learning.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, absolutely. So I've got a lot more to do in that market analysis space. And I think I just don't want to, like, I guess everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes in design and, you know, that sort of thing along the way. I've learned a lot since I was in my 20s. I don't want my first mistake to be in buying a house.
No, yeah. You don't want to make a mistake that you've got to catch up on. And there's
That's
no
right.
reason.
Yeah. When you finally get to a position where you can have a little bit of fun and dabble and do an extension and do some really fun stuff, you don't want to set back. So yeah, I think that's where the caution comes from sometimes.
Yeah. And also, as you get to our age, you don't want to stuff up because we're not in our 20s. In your 20s, you've got oodles of time to catch up, you know, to do
that's right.
backtracking and fix things up. So when you're our age, you don't have that amount of time. We are really close to retiring wealthy. And so that's the plan.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Early retirement is always the plan.
Early retirement. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know everybody who's listened in will love that talk. You know, in the end, we are just everyday people doing extraordinary things. I think extraordinary things in the renovation and property investing space. We always lead with renovation, but in the end, it's all about investing and returns and looking for really great opportunity in property deals. And you identified that when you just talked about doing having 3 income opportunities out of the one property. I love that mindset because that's where, you know, that's where we can escalate really, really quickly. So thank you so much, Deb, for being really open and honest. And
my pleasure.
Joining me today. I know everyone will love this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.